Well, hello, folks. Happy Sunday to all of you. I am here for a very special edition of I am holding on to the name Skipping Lunch because that was the original setting for it. But I haven't done a lunchtime stream in a really long time. But this is Skipping Lunch. I think I'm on episode 46. I might have to plan something fun for episode 50 if I can plan ahead that much. But I'm really excited tonight because I got somebody that we've been talking on Discord for a while. They're involved currently in a Kickstarter, which we will talk about a little bit. But I'm fascinated by this, and I was really worried that I would miss the Kickstarter window to bring him on. But I'm here with Peter Saloom from Pear Tree Studio. Pete, so can I? Is it Pete or do you just go full Peter? I should have
Pete
asked
is
that before.
Pete is fine. Yeah.
Pete is fine. Okay. I'm from Philly. We shorten single syllable names to like a letter. I don't know why we do this, but I guess we're in a hurry sometimes. Um but listen, it is so great to have you on. I'm really excited to talk about the project, but I want to talk a little bit about you and your development story before we get to that. So
Right.
nothing too onerous for that. We'll see what shows up. I'm going to bring my
Okay.
comments up so we can see if someone logs in here. So first thing is this, because and this is the question I ask to everybody. This hobby is wonderful. It is really cool. We were talking beforehand. There are a lot of really friendly, kind people who just enjoy gaming and love talking about it. It's really neat, but it's weird. It is a weird hobby. It does attract a certain segment of the population who are a little bit we're out there a little bit. We
Oh,
like to be lost in stories, and that's a wonderful and a beautiful thing. But so I always like to ask people, how did you first get into this weird and wonderful hobby? What drew you in?
yeah. I think your assessment is pretty accurate there. For me, uh, in gaming in general, so sort of the umbrella of tabletop gaming, card games, things like that. I started in on all of that when I was 11 or 12 years old. I was lucky enough that there was a local game store in my town. I didn't know what it was. I went in there out of curiosity and I started learning how to play first card games like Magic. I
Okay.
was on the Star Wars game at the time, other collectible card games, things like that.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so that got me into the crowd and hanging out with the people. And I started learning about Dungeons and Dragons, and started playing D&D. Second edition was the new hot edition at that time,
Okay.
and learned all of that. I was at the right age where I could soak all that up like a sponge and just
Uh-huh.
hold it all in my brain somehow. I cannot do that anymore. And it it scratched a couple of itches for me. The first one being I got to go hang out with nice other nerds and play games.
Mm-hmm.
But it also got that storytelling creativity component activated in me where I could come up with the story for this weekend that I was or the dungeon that I was going to run my friends through
Okay.
and I really enjoyed that part of it. I've always been kind of a creative person, and so it that's what kind of kept me doing it. So that's initially how I got involved in it. Then, like many people's story, I went away from it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So what younger people don't know about Dungeons and Dragons today, you sometimes have to explain to them is you could not think of a less cool thing to be known to be involved
This is true.
in the 90s than Dungeons and Dragons. It almost assured you some sort of social uh, consequence of some kind. Now, I'm delighted to say you can just be the coolest person at your school and play Dungeons and Dragons. So we've come a long way, baby. but but uh, but back then, I moved away from it, and I didn't do any type of gaming until I got back into college.
Okay.
And I then started doing some more tabletop gaming because there was some school stuff going on with that. And some music.
So wait, so your very long time is from like when? Like how old?
I would say I didn't do any type of tabletop gaming from age 16 or 17 to 22 or 23, something like that.
That's a long time, man. We're going to complain about long
Okay,
terms at
it's
some
all
point.
relative. I
It is all,
understand.
it's all
If we take
relative.
it as a percentage of my total lived years, it 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 may be. It
I was 3 decades out. So,
Yeah,
uh,
that's an awful long
that
time.
was a that was a hiatus, but I'll give it to you, man. It's for, it felt long.
It
It
did,
felt like a
it did.
long
I missed
time.
it. I missed it.
There you go. It's good. It's long enough that you missed it. It's kind of cool, but I actually am envious of the fact that it was only for that long. All right, but and so 22, did you go back to college a little later?
No, so I went to college the normal time whenever that was. I was 17 or 18 when I started college,
Okay,
and I just I didn't mean to say go back to. I started probably halfway through college getting back into it.
gotcha. Okay, cool. All right, let's talk about this. So you are a developer of games, of settings and game. So that means that puts you more on the GM side of the screen
Yeah.
because that's where we are. So here's my question: when you are a player and you're not the GM, or if you really want to be pedantic, a player who is not the GM, what kinds of games draw you in? What do you like to play?
Oh boy. It's a tough question. What I like are engaged tables. I almost have no preference as a player over the um common subject matter, the common genres. I play in Alien and Blade Runner games. I play in old D&D games and OSR games, Shadow
Okay.
Dark. Um, I'm kind of across the board in terms of genre. What I really First of all, what I really enjoy is when the table is very engaged, regardless of the experience level or anything
Hmm.
like that. Playing with a game master who knows how to get everybody involved and kind of push people when they need to be pushed a little bit to get interactive and kind of bring people into the spotlight that may not naturally gravitate to that.
Uh-huh.
um, that's what I enjoy because I think those are the games that I remember the most, and I know the games that I have least enjoyed are ones in which um, it sort of feels like every man for himself at the table,
Gotcha.
not in the game world, just kind of at the table.
Yeah.
Um, and that seems, at least for my preference and my play style, to be a little too disorganized and not really as harmonious as I think I would like it to be.
So as long as it's an engaged table where the players are working together,
Yeah, yeah.
that's you're in.
Yeah, I want people to meet me in the middle. I'm not the most gifted, role player or improvisational person, but I want people to know I'm at least giving it my effort, and I want to see that other people are doing that as well.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a great answer. I'm eclectic. Just a good game. I'm good.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I've had so many, games of across the genres over the years, many conventions, and yeah, it-
You're all in.
yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about Pear Tree Studio. Since you are a developer, how long has Pear Tree Studio been around?
Not very long. I started Pear Tree Studio last year, spring of 2024. After a handful of years writing my own adventures and running games at a lot of conventions and getting a lot of encouragement from other people
Okay.
saying, "Hey, maybe you should take this to the next level." And I always was like, "No, that seems like that seems like jobifying my hobby, and that would be, stressful." And
Uh-huh.
I had a million reasons not to do it. And then finally I said, "All right, I'll give it a shot. I'll talk to the folks at Pinnacle Entertainment, which is the company that produces Savage Worlds,
Uh-huh.
and see what the licensing is about, and see if I'm even candidate and find out, and it all kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's a pretty open license for
Yeah.
Pinnacle Entertainment, which is nice. So, where does the name Pear Tree Studio come from?
Oh, yeah, that's kind of a silly story too because I had the adventures written, I had them edited, I had my first 2 books done, I had my graphics guy working on them, and they said, you have to name the company, like, it has to have a name, and
Mhm.
I said, "Okay," and I was sitting upstairs in my living room, and I looked out the front window, there's a pear tree sitting in the front yard. I said, "All right, it's Pear Tree Studio,"
I was
and,
hoping it was that simple.
it stuck, and then, I later found out that, pair also the word pair also happens to be an acronym for the members of my immediate family. I didn't know that at the time, but the 4 members of my family, each of our names starts with
Oh, that's
P-E-A.
awesome. Okay.
So, it was serendipitous.
Double meaning. You're good,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I'd like to say I thought of that, but I didn't.
Well, you did retroactively. It's fine. We retconned it. It's
Yep.
good.
Right, right. It's
So,
working.
you've been around for a year. How many products have you released in that year?
Spring of last year, the first book I released was a Weird West adventure called Shadows of the Sacred Hills. It's
Mhm.
a standalone one shot, um, sort of horror themed. And right after that, the following month, I released the Icelian Hybrid, which again is a standalone. This one is a sort of a survival sci-fi adventure. Um, then I took a long break because I started writing a much bigger book, which is Beacon Island, which is what
Okay.
my current Kickstarter is. In between there, I wrote for other publishers, but not for myself. Um,
Oh, okay.
and I did release one sheet also during that period of time, called Hunter's Moon,
Yeah.
which is sort of a supplemental one sheet for the that ties into a little bit the Shadows of Sacred Hills.
Did I see you had a sci-fi game on there too? A sci-fi product on there?
Yeah, the second one I released is called Icelian Hybrid. That is a science fiction adventure. That's one that
Awesome.
I've run at conventions for years. I'll be running that at Page, which we were talking about prior to the broadcast.
Awesome.
I'll be running that one down there.
We have our first viewer or first comment in chat. King Eric, the greatest of all, is here. That's literally his YouTube name.
I really strongly approve of that name.
It's one of my favorite. He'll ask interesting questions, I'm sure.
Excellent.
Um, so you had already talked about you had reached out first to Pinnacle to talk about what their licensing was to make
Yep.
third-party content.
Yep.
So what is it about Savage Worlds that made you want to develop for that game? Is it just your go-to system for playing, or is there something particular that really appealed to you, like, I want to write for this?
Um, as a creative minded person, what Savage Worlds offered me was flexibility without encumbering me. What I mean by that specifically is Savage Worlds is a quote unquote generic rule system, meaning it's it's genre agnostic.
Yep.
And I am able to go from whatever type of genre, theme, setting I kind of come up with to the next one without having to go digest some other rule system or make up my own
Mhm.
or understand and agree to some other licensing agreement, which may be great, or may be restrictive or maybe completely unavailable to me,
Okay.
depending on what the situation is. So it gives you the flexibility to say, I like to run games across a wide spectrum of topics, and
Gotcha.
this rule system, I can pull the rules that work for that game from it, use it, and leave the rest to the side. So
Gotcha.
I think it's a very strong system for creative people that don't want to stick to maybe just fantasy, let's say, or just cyberpunk, or
You can do just about anything in it,
yeah, it's very fun.
which is an appeal. So what is it that you like about Savage Worlds licensing? that you
So
stick with it?
I there are different levels of licenses from Pinnacle. I'm not an absolute expert on this, and maybe something has changed since the last time I reviewed it, but,
Okay.
the level of license that I hold is called an ACE licensee. Um, and what that means is, in the beginning, I submitted samples of my produced work for the editorial folks at Peg to review. And basically, what they were looking for was a level of production quality that was on par with kind of professional publications.
Yeah.
And once that was established, um, I am now permitted to publish for the Savage World system without any further review process or editorial process from Pinnacle. And so that's important to me because it means I am the one creating, and I'm in the driver's seat, and I'm putting my story and my gaming experience that I want to create for other people out there.
Okay.
Um, and as long as, yeah, I mean, as long as I don't do anything, terribly offensive or
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
in very poor judgment, it would not affect the my licensing or my standing.
So how does the licensing work? Do you have to pay them a cut or
I do. I do.
okay.
So there is a small royalty, which I agree with. I think is warranted and deserving for the hard work that they do. Um, the actual details of that are, the vast majority of my products are fulfilled through Drive Through RPG,
Yeah.
because that's just kind of where everybody gets them.
Mhm.
I have a sort of a specific requirement to pay royalties to Peg through that platform,
Okay.
and I have less restrictions if I do them in other ways, like
Okay,
my
so
own printing or things like that.
gotcha. What exactly are you getting for paying that royalty other than being able to use that licensed by Savage Worlds?
So the big thing you're getting, I would say the number one thing you're getting is access to their audience. In terms of a small person like me that doesn't have a marketing budget, doesn't have a big team, I
Okay.
would say that as an ACE licensee, when I'm working on a project, I'm sharing information about that project with their team. And they're doing things like putting it in their email newsletters or getting me on a Twitch stream to talk about it or doing some social media awareness about it. Things where their much larger audience than me are able to, catch the news that I'm working on something. That's really
Okay, so you are under their umbrella. It's almost like contracting a little bit,
a little bit.
like analogous to, not the same thing, but
Yeah,
okay. So there's an actual benefit for it. It's not just give us the money for using our words, which
correct.
is okay. We-
Yeah.
After the we'll talk about how much that was later. I do have a question from chat. I'm because I'm you're doing that. I'm going, oh, OGL, and people are
Mhm.
freaking out,
Right, right.
because that was a shoot the moon thing. Um, so we do have a question from chat from King Eric. Wants to know how you pronounce your last name, Peter.
Oh, okay, and I see. It is pronounced, I believe, the second way, Saloom.
Saloom.
Yeah, so just like a saloon, like the Wild West saloon, except the last letter is M instead of N.
There you go.
Yep.
Eric is their only viewer and is active in chat. Thanks, Eric. Does Dr. Chavez appear in Savage Worlds? He could, but
I, I was going
you'd
to
have to
say,
scrape the serial number off,
yeah.
because you don't want to get sued. We're talking about licensing. So that's it's I could kind of cool. I did not realize what Pinnacle's licensing was for third party content,
They
but the
also have
fact that
another level.
okay,
They have another level called it is the Savage Worlds Adventurers Guild or something like that. I think the
yeah,
acronym is SWAG.
okay,
And in that case, I don't have that level of license. I
okay,
have a less restrictive version of that, so
okay,
I don't want to misrepresent what they offer, but I encourage people to look at it. In
okay,
that case, it is open to much more entry level or much more sort of community content level development, and I don't mean any of that in a disparaging way. What I mean is they're not going to require you to have professional levels of like trade dress and
An
art
artist. Okay.
and things like that for you to be able to put those products out. You could put them
Okay.
out in a more economical and pared down way, and that would be totally fine.
Okay. Cool.
And there's a ton of great products that come through that as well.
I mean, there's a lot of third party Savage World stuff, so it's
Yeah.
neat to see how the licensing worked. Um, it'd be interesting to talk with folks who license for different organizations to see what it is like. Um, but let's talk about your current Kickstarter because this is kind of of a really cool thing.
Yeah.
The current Kickstarter is Beacon Island.
Beacon Island.
Can you give your 30-second elevator pitch for why people should check this out?
Sure, absolutely. If you like the sort of kids on bike style of adventure tabletop gaming, if you like um sci-fi, youthful sci-fi slash action movies from the 80s or 90s, if you like movies like The Goonies, if you like movies like Super 8 or Dreamcatcher or even Men in Black, things like that. You'll find something that you enjoy or that you can connect with in Beacon Island. It focuses on kids. All player characters are kids, from maybe 11, 12 to 15 or 16. It
Uh-huh.
is takes place on the New England coast in the summertime in the 1990s, and it kind of focuses on investigating sort of sort of conspiratorial things that are occurring and secret sort of agendas, and it's got a sci-fi twist to it as well.
Okay, so there's still like this, it very much is a Super 8 vibe with that, except it's
Yes,
down the
cer-
shore.
certainly.
So it's this night. It is this. We were talking beforehand. You are '90s nostalgia, and I'm '80s nostalgia. So you're a decade younger than I am. Um, so like you've got Super 8. Um, what what was that's the one I'm fixated on because I love that
Mhm.
movie. What is really kind of like when you started this out? What was the go to? Like I want to work off of this for the influence. Like what was the primary one?
I think the first primary influence for this was actually the setting and the place, not the actual content. So when
Okay.
I thought about writing this, I one thing that a lot of writers do is they say, "Well, what do I just know about? Because it'll be easier for me to write about that."
Okay.
And something I knew an awful lot about was being 12 in the 90s and going to summer camp in the summertime and, like, getting bit by mosquitoes and getting poison ivy. Like, I knew about that. And it was a formative part of my life, and I had a lot of fun.
Uh-huh.
And there's a connection because a lot of other people connect to that time frame as well. And then I thought, okay, now how do I make an adventure that's exciting? I don't have to be grounded in reality.
Uh-huh.
I can do what I want. And so I just started taking the movies and music that made me feel that same vibe, evoked that same
Gotcha.
feeling for
Okay.
me, and started piecing the pieces of the puzzle together that way.
Awesome. Did you base the island that Beacon Island off of an actual island?
Yes, it is very much based on an existing island, and I'm wondering if anyone will be able to tell me what it is. I think if you live up here by me, it might be much easier. But
North Shore or South Shore?
uh, it's not in Massachusetts. So, it is on the New
Oh,
England it's on the New England coast. It In the book, it is set just off the New England coast, and I have not made it, specific. It is a fictional island in the book, but it's
okay.
heavily based on, a popular destination, up here, and I'm waiting for somebody to
I want to
tell
figure
me
it
which
out.
one it is.
Is it Hampton?
No, no, no. But there's so much Hampton vibe in this that
Okay.
that it would be, definitely. So the Hampton vibe, for your listeners, Hampton is a beach in New Hampshire, southern New Hampshire,
Mhm.
and it has that great boardwalk arcade honky tonk type of feel to it,
It's the
and
closest you'll get to the Jersey Shore up in New England.
that's a great way of putting it because you certainly don't find anything like that like on Cape Cod or anything like that.
No. No,
Yeah,
no,
very,
no.
very different, vibe. But yeah, so and we've certainly tried to capture that, in the book. We provided the entire island plus the sort of the central town called Port Town. We've made maps for both of those, and there's all that type of good summertime stuff like arcades and amusement park rides and souvenir shops and all of that.
Awesome. With certain popular fighting games with the serial numbers filed off so you don't get sued. Because it's the '90s. That's the one-on-one fighters for all the
Yep.
rage back then.
Oh, yeah.
Always a good time. I wanna figure out what island this is now, and for folks who are watching this later, like, I lived up North Shore area in Massachusetts for a while, so, like, that part of the coast is something that I am very familiar with, and actually, you need to talk with one of, Dave and I's friends because he's from Salisbury Beach,
Oh, great.
so he's right nearby.
Yep.
Um, he's Mr. Blawface on here. I was hoping he would be on tonight, but I guess he's tired. Everybody's watching football. All right, so let's talk about
Yep,
this.
that's right, that's right.
Your artwork for this book looks really really cool. And actually, why don't we go to the your Kickstarter page just so people can get a sample of it. Um,
Cool.
just the the hint of curves with really straight angles and that real thick shading is just so cool, and it does give that '90s vibe for it. And I've seen more of the artwork than is here because Peter was very generous in sharing some stuff, so I could maybe get some stuff out for the thumbnail. But who did this really amazing artwork?
Yeah, so the artist, her name is Lynn Redder, and, she has been working on this really hard with me for I guess she's probably been involved in the process for 8 or 9 months now, I
Oh
think.
wow, okay,
Yeah, doing a ton of work, and I'm drawn to her style of artwork because for this project, it's perfect. It
yeah,
is, I consider it a combination between Saturday morning cartoons and modern comics. It's somewhere in between those things, or has elements of both of those things. It's a
hmm
little more rendered than basic Saturday morning cartoons,
yeah,
but it harkens to those simple shapes. Um,
hmm
and I think of that as just, like a super talent of hers to be able to kinda capture that style. She's done, the cover, obviously. She's done artwork for all the pre-generated characters that come with the Lonesome Power adventure.
okay.
She's done NPCs and bestiary work. She's done all sorts of little, sort of flash art that goes in the book, like, those images you saw below of,
Oh
like,
yeah,
the
this
Game Boy and things like that.
the shading
All
on the
that type of stuff.
flashlight is amazing.
Yeah,
Like that
so
just looks cool.
everything she does comes out great, and working with artists, um, from the art director, standpoint can be extremely challenging. I'm not a talented art director. I'm learning more about that. That's never something I had to do until the last year of my life.
Okay,
Um, and so to find artists that, take direction, very well, but also understand that they are the artist and have to create the expression based
gotcha.
on the brief given to them, in this case by me. To find people that do that with very little rework or very little pushback is rare, and she's very, very good at that. I think that she'll have a long career in TTRPG stuff because she um, she can do a lot more than what
hmm
she's done for me, and she has a lot more range than what she's done for me. So, and she's a delight to work with. So,
Peter,
I
if
think
you
we'll see more from her.
send me a link to her portfolio if she's got one online,
She
because I'll
does.
put it in the description for folks. And I
Oh, that'd be
love
great.
like these images here. They really, it's not the same art style, but it does evoke that Kids on Bikes art style.
Mm.
There's
Yeah.
that
Yep.
there's more dithering in the Kids on Bikes. The Kids on Bikes art is incredible for folks who don't have not checked that out. But this looks it has the very similar vibe, even though the style is very different. So
Mhm.
I really enjoy it. Um,
Too.
so you talked a little bit about Savage Worlds being generic, modular, you can throw different things in. So what are some of the ads that you put into Beacon Island that are unique to it, that make this adventure work or this setting work for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the first thing I did that make is going to make Beacon Island unique is Beacon Island is um, sort of two things combined into one. One is it is a standalone, completely ready to play out of the book,
Uh-huh.
five chapter mini campaign. We'll call it because your
Okay.
mileage may vary on session length or things like
Okay.
that. So that is one piece of it. But since we spent so much time writing that adventure and having to create the locations on the island and the NPCs and the places, all the places that the kids could go, it became obvious after playtesting at a lot of conventions that we should just also give the GM the rest of the island, uh,
Okay.
so that in what I'm going to call a micro setting. So if you wanted to pick up this book and say, I don't want to do any work, I want to do minimal prep, I want to run a game for the next month or so every
Okay.
Friday with my friends, you would have everything in there to do that. But
Okay.
I know a lot of GMs out there that use stuff that I've produced are creative people and they want to modify. And I love
Gotcha.
that. I think that's the best use of what I've put out there is make it your own.
Yeah.
So instead, we also added an entire island map with all the extra locations, an entire gazetteer with sort of optional and not fully developed hooks to try
Okay.
to send you, hey, if you want to go that way.
Gotcha.
So it gives you flexibility as a GM to do one, the other, or maybe a combination of the two, depending on what you want.
Okay.
Um, we also revamped some of the stuff that is available in Savage Worlds core rulebook to be more tailored to Beacon Island. One of those mechanics is a mechanic they call interludes in Savage Worlds. This is a activity that is done to generate creative backstory for characters in Savage Worlds, and it's
Okay.
basically done by drawing cards and referring to a chart or a table that prompts you in the downtime of your characters to share with your the rest of your party something that develops your character.
Gotcha.
The basic interludes table is has to be rather generic because of the generic nature of Savage Worlds rule setting.
Sure.
We custom tailored it to the kids who would be growing up in the 90s in this area, and we made it a little bit deeper and more specific so that you can get into really building your character, talking about challenges they've overcome, fears they're dealing with. When you're writing about teenagers of this, in this age group, in this time, they're a mess. They want to like try to fit in, find out who they are. They don't really know what's going on. They're still trying to develop into whole adult human beings. So there's a lot going on. So
Okay.
we wanted to tap into that as much as we could. I'm just scanning down my table of contents here to see what else we've got. Individual gear. We didn't go crazy with gear,
Okay.
but we did introduce some unique gear. Uh,
Did you have
and
to change any of the edges or anything? Since you're dealing with children who are not like mighty warriors, like how did you tweak that sort of thing?
Well, the first thing we did to sort of encourage the style of play that I intended to have. By no means does this mean that you can't have your own style of play. Do what you want. It's your game. But
Okay.
what first thing we did was use setting rules, which setting rules is a thing in Savage Worlds that sort of define overall rules for gameplay that are going to be unique to this game that might be different from the next Savage Worlds game we play.
Okay.
The big one we did there is we used one called Heroes Never Die. Because of the nature of this game, we're not like super excited about teenage player characters getting killed. That's not something we're excited about doing.
Sure.
So we have kind of said that at some point characters have had enough. They have been freaked out a little bit too much,
Mhm.
and they're going to go hang out with the grown-ups until a later point, a later point in the adventure, or they may reemerge in the future, or a new kid might come in and take their place.
Gotcha.
um, Another one we used is called Creative Combat. Um, Kids of the 90s are not, as you said, mighty skilled warriors. They are
No.
not special ops, operators, but they are wacky and wild and are going to do cartoonish things. So creative combat is helpful for that. What it basically allows you to do is be very improvisational in your combat, and
Okay.
also have some strange and exciting results come out of combat as well, based on some tables that you can roll on. So
Oh, neat.
that kind of plays with the vibe of these are not machine gun toting kids. They might have a skateboard and a paintball gun, or something like that.
Okay.
And it allows you to expand off of that.
Gotcha. Keep careful, you're running off camera there.
Oh, sorry.
Um, it's okay. You're like,
I was I'm reading over on this
um,
monitor and I'm talking on this one.
so like, I know this is more of an investigatory, like an investigatory type thing. Like, did you have to tweak the Savage Worlds rules to like make it more detective like, or did you find that the core Savage Worlds rulebook had enough to handle that?
I didn't have to tweak it. I didn't have to tweak any rules to make it more investigative. There are Savage Worlds does that very well. I don't have to mess. If it's
Okay.
not broken, don't fix it. I would
Don't
say
fix it.
that I would say a lot of that comes from my style of GMing, and there are different. There's a million different styles, and I've always liked to
Okay.
create um, curiosity and tension, and I feel like those are the things I've always got the best response from players at the table. um, I don't
Okay.
get and I do that by introducing the clues that they need to be aware of, um, making sure that I get the stuff in front of them that I think makes the best gaming experience, and then trying to turn up the tension as we get through to hour 3 of the session, trying to have ways to really ramp up the tension and make the stakes higher.
Okay. Cool. Sounds like a fun way to do things. And you talked about how engagement is really what makes you enjoy a table as a player. So
Sure.
developing that environment for players makes sense. Um, Out of all the things that you've put into Beacon Island, I don't want you to give away spoilers,
Mhm,
but of all the things you've thrown in there, whether it be the tweaks that you've made to make it more applicable directly to that genre and that setting,
mhm.
or something you've done on the island, like what are you most excited to see people interact with as this book gets released?
I'm I think I'm most excited to see them interact with the sort of main hook of the Lonesome Power campaign. I have now run it, I don't know, 25 times or something at conventions, and um, I really get a lot of positive reaction from the people who have played it. Um, I think that it's the largest adventure I've written and published to date. It's
Okay.
multi session, so it's going to take more patience and development than my other games, which really come from my convention one shot background, where you're on the
Okay.
pace, you're on the pace, you've got 4 hours, and it's gonna be done one way or another.
Yep.
This has a lot
Yep.
more open room to breathe and develop, and
Okay.
I hope people find it intriguing, and also funny and enjoyable, because there's lots of stuff in here that is a little funny and a little goofy, and harkens back to, like I said, you know, these movies, cartoons, and music that inspired me.
Awesome. It sounds like a fun setting, and if you're a child of the '90s,
Yeah.
this is this is made for you. It is a love letter to that era of nostalgia. It's a little weird seeing someone do the not my stuff, but I'm no longer the center of the universe, and that's okay. But I'm Gen X. I never was to begin with. But I really love it. And again, the artwork is really cool. The vibe is really cool. I love how you built out this island. I'm really looking forward to seeing it and
Thank you.
what all you have put out. So the Kickstarter is currently going on.
Yep.
When does it close?
I believe we have 10 days left. So we
Okay.
are just as a quick dashboard update here, we're already funded. We're at 109% of our funding. So that's awesome. I'm excited to see that. I don't know if I mentioned to your listeners, this is my first ever Kickstarter. All my other
Yeah.
work is self-funded to this point. So Kickstarter is and crowdfunding in general is way more complicated than I thought it was, and there's a lot to learn about it. And I've learned a great deal, but this has gone very well, and I'm really excited about it and happy about it. We've got 10 days left. Obviously, everybody is welcome to come and pledge or change pledges as they want to in that time. But yeah, it's going great.
Cool. What are you using the funds for the Kickstarter? Is this mostly for artwork?
Yeah, so basically this money is all production related.
Okay.
And so production related means number 1, it means art. Number 2, it means layout, trade dress. A great talented friend of mine named Carl Kiesler is doing that for me. He does some of the best specifically Savage Worlds books that have been produced. So I'm
Oh,
really
neat.
happy to have him. And so being able to get him, good money for doing it is what I want. Yeah, and then there's other, expenses based into it, which is like, you know, some software and, just the things you need to put it all together. You got to pay for that as well. Um, yeah, and then anything that's left over, if there is anything, realistically, is just going to go back into the next thing.
There you go.
And
Always a
just
good time.
start working on the next thing.
How are the rewards being fulfilled?
The rewards are being fulfilled through drive through RPG.
Okay, so it's PDF or print on demand at
That's correct.
cost, correct? I'm looking at some of the
That's correct.
reward tiers right now. So it's $20 just to get the Beacon Island in PDF format. So, and
Yeah, there's
Shadows.
several tiers, and one thing we did was we also included some bundles where if you were into Beacon Island but you didn't know about our other stuff, we also
Hmm.
gave you kind of a good deal on the other stuff as well if you bought it all in sort of a bundle.
Yeah, that's the $28 for the PDF of your
Mhm.
three main products is really nice. $30 to get it in print and PDF for POD is at cost printing and your local legend. All really cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
So, did you have any stretch goals you were hoping to hit?
I don't have any stretch goals on this campaign, and
Okay.
I'll tell you why. I had a long list of ideas going into this, and I after many hours of counsel from other successful Kickstarter people who are better at this than me, I decided I needed to walk before I run.
Okay.
Um, and I think it was the right decision.
Hey, listen, keep it simple. I'm all for keeping it simple. It's nice to get the tchotchkes and get everybody excited about all the little stuff, but
Yeah,
put out a
and
good book. That's
and
good.
with everything that I've learned through the process of the back end of Kickstarter and all that entails, which is more than I kind of anticipated,
Uh-huh.
I feel 100% more confident moving into some other crowdfunding campaign next year for something else. I feel like I'll have a lot more confidence and a lot more ability to sort of add on to what we can offer.
That's awesome. Um, because you had just in that little stretch there, you had talked about how a good friend of yours who is, does good Savage World layout is doing the
Mhm.
layout for the book. You had talked about being able to just reaching out to Pinnacle, like, hey, how can I do this? And then talking about people who had done Kickstarters. So for folks who might be thinking about doing something like this, doing a Kickstarter, releasing it, like how how did the relationships you'd already formed in the industry really helped you with that first jump?
They were absolutely foundational to that. I could not agree
Okay.
more. What I would recommend to anybody who's thinking maybe they want to go this route and they haven't published something before, regardless if it's Savage Worlds or anything else, is I would say go to your bookshelf and pick out your favorite books, the ones you love the most. Go to the first page where all those people's names are in the little, size 8 font
Hmm.
that always gets skipped over, and start reading those job titles and those names. And you'll notice some of those names pop up all the time. Those are the people who are really good at it. And email them, call them, find them on social media, because the worst they can say is no. And honestly, most of these people would be so honored that somebody took the time to look them up and talk to them and ask for advice, that they would give you a bunch of their time to try and help guide you along. That's what happened to me. That's exactly what I did. I just started kind of cold chatting with people who I knew were very successful at this. And without exception, they all sort of said, "Yeah, welcome to the club. You don't know what you're doing, but we'll tell you," and that was very helpful.
It is a really helpful community of folks who do this, and it's the TTRPG community is big, but it's small comparative to the general population, and developers are a niche of that niche.
And it's very
So
interconnected.
yeah, it really is. It's neat to see how these folks work together and how they enjoy kind of bouncing ideas off of each other. So welcome to that club. Awesome times.
Yeah.
So you are currently in the proofreading stage for this book, correct?
Yeah, yep, we're doing I think that the copy of the book may change by maybe 1,000 words from this point out, as we're just adding in the kind of the technical stuff between sections that we need to kind of make stuff segue properly. But it's essentially done. The layout, trade dress has been designed,
Okay.
but has not been everything hasn't been dropped in yet. We really have to get the copy 100% before we go start doing that.
Okay.
Um, and all the art except I think one, maybe we're waiting on one piece or something,
Okay.
is complete at this point.
So your ship date that you hope for is what?
January.
And you're pretty certain you're going to be hitting that, especially since you don't have to worry about shipping or anything. It's released through
Yeah,
drive through.
yeah. I think barring any type of illness or family emergency or something, I think we're there.
Awesome. So, folks, if you want to back this, you are not going to have to wait long. So, and it's $20 to get the PDF. Like I'll probably do it and get yelled at for spending more money than I have. Um, but this looks really like a really cool idea that um, kids on bikes, Stranger Things type of vibe for Savage World just
Yep.
sounds like really neat. So thank you so much for coming on to talk about it. And my ear trumpet has been struck by lightning, and I just wanted to bring up this comment because that's probably an even better name than King Eric the Greatest of All for YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Points out that the worst someone could say to you if you ask them for help is "get lost," which is which is
Yeah.
true. That is the worst thing they can say. And here's let me give you two things for that, just from the interactions that I've had with the developers over the course of doing this. And Peter, you could probably talk to it better than I am because you've worked with them. Um, First off, as long as you're not a jerk, you're not going to get told to get lost. And that's one thing. Like sometimes people will tell you to get lost just because you're like demanding that they do work for you for free, and that is not what people are about. They will give advice and help and all that, which is great. And second, if you are a genuinely kind individual who is really interested in putting out something cool for the TTRPG space, if a developer told you to get lost, I'm pretty sure the other developers are looking at you going, "What is wrong with that person?" Because it is such a small community. It's like, no, you don't do that. We're always looking to expand it. So just be nice to the people who are trying to help you out, which I'm from Philly, I'm not good at, but I try really hard. So
It's good
it's okay.
advice. Yeah, just
Yeah.
be a good human in general, or in
Yeah.
TTRPGs, or anywhere.
It's just good. It's good life advice.
Yeah, just
So, well, listen, that is all the questions that I have for you for that. It's a wonderful, just under an hour chat. We had some folks jump into to the video a little late. Guys, go back if you missed part of it. Go back and watch the early where Peter starts talking about some of the ways that he got in. You are the first person I've had on the channel who got into TTRPGs via a card game.
really? Okay.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
I did have someone on who, and I am not making this up, the first time they got introduced to uh, a TTRPG was at a college course.
Interesting.
Yes, that was a really good one.
Was this a much younger person than you and I?
No, an older
Oh, really?
person.
Huh.
Well, probably I think he's probably the same age as me, or right around there. What if someone
That's really
says,
interesting.
Eric's back on chat? What if someone says, "Get found to you"? Well, then you've met a friend. It's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it was. He was in. I think he was in either middle school or high school, and it was like go visit college and take a class, and
Okay.
it was a D&D class, which
That's
you
amazing.
can find. It's that story is told in 2 interviews that I just did recently.
That's
You can go find it. So, what card game? Gin Rummy? No, it was Magic. Now you're just being silly, Eric. We were trying to sign off, and everybody wants to get silly in chat. But listen, congratulations on making your funding. I hope you
thank you.
some other backers through this or in the next couple of days. 10 days to back, guys. So please go and do it. And really cool stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have next. You're on my Discord, or actually we're in a private chat. I need to bring you on my Discord server, but we're in
Yeah.
Discord. Let me know what's going on. I would love to talk with you about your next development.
Yeah.
And I already told you this beforehand. You are more than welcome to come down as a special guest for EcclesiaCon next May if you are able to put
Yeah.
it in your schedule.
We gotta
No
figure that
pressure.
out.
That would be amazing to have you down. I would love to meet you in person, but I will get to meet you in person at Page, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
It's going to be a good time. All right, I'm going to sign off with these guys, so I'm going to take you off screen really quick. You're going to the green room. You'll still be able to talk to me and
Okay,
distract me in the channel. But I just want to give a sign out. But please stick on so I can say goodbye to you and thank you properly. So give me one
cool.
second here. So, folks, Peter was awesome. This really sounds like a very, very fun setup for Savage Worlds. Take a break from the see thing, kill thing. Go on an investigation, be kids with like skateboards and go, hit a monster if a monster shows up. That's the types of things they did in the 80s, right? Or the 90s. Gosh, I'm off the wrong decade still. But really go back this. It sounds really cool. The link is in the description below. Let's sneak Peter back on screen so you can get to the QR code. The QR code is right there. It's there, that way. It's down there, and that's below Peter. That's the QR code. Go scan that and back this thing. Now Peter's back off screen again. Coming up, I am still working on Star Trek Adventures, reading that book. I've been back to my regular gig, so reading has been slow. I am working on my final reflection for Gamehole Con, my final kind of wrap up of all the coverage for that, which has been a blast, carried me through 2 weeks. I have a random thoughts that I need to do. Wrote my last thought for that today. I'll probably record that and get it up tomorrow. And I've got an interview scheduled for on Tuesday for a upcoming 4-volume history of Dungeons and Dragons. I think they just did 1 decade for each book. Really looking forward to that. That is Tuesday at 8:30. So please surf in for that. And I'm looking forward to bringing all this stuff to you folks, and we'll see what else is coming up in the future. But until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.